right now on NBC Connecticut.
You heard it here first.
And the National Weather Service now agreeing with me that we do have potential rotation in this.
2 tornadoes touching down too close to home.
You grab them and just hop in the bathtub and just try to hold on to something.
Tonight, buildings reduced to rubble, dozens of people out of their homes.
This is incredible, man. This is unbelievable.
6 tornadoes in just 3 months in Connecticut. Why the sudden burst of activity?
Lots of sunshine for tomorrow, and things are really starting to heat up. How long the hot weather sticks around in my first alert forecast.
Plus, grounded on the tarmac, what caused all this chaos and confusion at Bradley Airport? Right now.
This is NBC Connecticut News at 11.
Certainly a wild start to the day right on the state line. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dan Corcoran. It's a story we in Connecticut are becoming all too familiar with. Just look at this mess that one tornado left behind in Webster, Massachusetts, as seen from this exclusive Drone Ranger video. Well, tonight, at least 2 buildings have already been demolished, leaving dozens of people finding another place to stay. Webster is only about 20 minutes away from where the first tornado of the day touched down, right here in Connecticut. NBC Connecticut's Shung Puri has been on the ground in Webster, Massachusetts much of the day. He joins us live there now with the very latest tonight. Shung.
Well, Dan, officials reopened the main street here in Webster, which is significant because they were out here for most of the day assessing damage to the downtown area. That pile of rubble right there, that's all that remains of 2 buildings that were so damaged they felt they needed to be torn down right away. And the brick building next door and a gas station next to it are both missing their roofs. From the sky, Drone Ranger capturing an exclusive look at the damage from a Category EF1 tornado with winds of 110 miles per hour that tore through downtown Webster, Massachusetts.
We seen the winds going. It was crazy, trees flying.
One woman was injured by flying debris while driving down Main Street. This afternoon, officials ordered 2 heavily damaged buildings there torn down immediately for public safety.
The rubber-looking thing that's hanging off the back building, that is actually the membrane for the roof for the first building.
Residents and business owners alike now picking up the pieces, with the Red Cross providing temporary housing to an estimated 30 to 50 people.
We have a shop down the street, and it took the whole roof off, trees down here, over there.
I just saw all the spinning, trees falling and just rumbling.
Less than 10 miles south in Woodstock, Connecticut, flattened cornfields and twisted trees along Redhead Hill Road mark where officials confirm a tornado bearing 80-mile-per-hour winds touched down. Its path 1 block long and just 8 yards wide through this rural neighborhood, leaving it relatively unscathed.
I didn't hear of any structural issues, mostly trees and wires that were down and roads blocked. Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse in this area.
Now, authorities say they're going to be assessing that brick building back there over the next few days to determine if it also needs to come down. Live in Webster, Massachusetts, Shung Puri, NBC Connecticut News. Back to you, Dan.
All right, Shung, thanks so much. This has been a very active year for tornadoes here in our state. On average, Connecticut only sees about 2 of them each and every year. So far in 2018, we've had 6. And you may remember 4 of those touched down all in one day. That was back on May 15th. One of those was in Winstead, up in the northeast corner of the state. Trees came down and blocked many roads for days. And not far from there was another tornado in Barkhamsted. You may remember those huge clouds from that storm that day. Also touching down that day in southern Connecticut was a big tornado in Oxford and Southbury. Huge trees come crashing down on homes in those towns, as well as in Bethany and Hamden, where a 4th tornado ripped through that day. And of course, Sleeping Giant State Park taking the brunt from that one. Then we had a break. Well, that was until just a few weeks ago when this tornado came down in Ashford. So you may be wondering, What the heck is going on this year? Well, let's ask Chief Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan about that. Ryan, both of us grew up here in New England, but honestly, I can't remember this being an issue so much each year.
I mean, so this is certainly an active year. I mean, there have been years that have been this active before, but one of the things that we can do now is we are so much better at predicting these. So we knew a day or two ahead of time that there was the potential for tornadoes, and that's exactly what we got. And then we also had the warning before the tornado even touched down. So we're getting better at detecting these and forecasting these.
Yeah, and are there certain things that actually contribute to us having more tornadoes in any given year?
Well, so the May 15th storm that we had that produced the 4 tornadoes, that was a high-end severe weather event. That was really rare. But the tornado we had in June in Ashford and the tornado we had this morning in Woodstock and up into Massachusetts is a pretty typical setup for the summer. A lot of times when the water gets really warm in Long Island Sound and the Atlantic Ocean, you get lots and lots of humidity, and you could feel that humidity this morning. And as a front moved in, we had just enough wind shear and was able to spawn that isolated tornado. So tornadoes like the one we had today are pretty typical in New England. We get a couple of them a year between here and Rhode Island and Massachusetts. But altogether, especially after what we had in May, it's been an active season. And hopefully, Dan, we're done.
Yeah, that would be nice.
No more tornadoes.
Yeah,
we're good with them. Yes.
Please. After this day and after this summer, we do want to quiet down. But we also know we're going to be heating up around here, too.
Yeah, we will. We've got a heat wave on the way.
Wow.
That's the other big story we've got coming up. Let's take a look at what's going on. Here's the 12-hour radar loop. And we're going to set this back to 12 hours ago, 11 o'clock this morning, when that rain was really coming down. Some really impressive rainfall totals. I'll show you some of those coming up in just a couple minutes. But the rain is gone. We're drying out. The stars are out. It's actually a beautiful evening across Connecticut. As you take a live look outside in Waterbury right now, where the temperature is 71 degrees. It's 71 degrees in Danielson, 71 in Tolland, 74 in Windsor Locks. And check out northwestern Connecticut, Norfolk, down to 65 degrees, so cooler and more comfortable. And that will be the story for tonight. But that cooler air is very short-lived, because check this out for tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine. The humidity drops a bit, but man, does it warm up. Temperatures up around 90 degrees, and it looks like tomorrow is day one of our next heat wave. We'll talk about how much longer the heat sticks around for and when we can expect some thunderstorms. It's all coming up in my full forecast in just a couple minutes.